All right, we're about to dive into a secret plot that honestly you've probably never even heard of. But this isn't just some forgotten footnote in history. It's a high-stakes spy story that, if it had gone the other way, could have completely rewritten the 20th century as we know it. So get this. What if British spies, MI6 agents, tried to assassinate the leaders of the Russian Revolution? We're talking about the very dawn of the Soviet Union. A plan to take out Lenin and Trotsky, to, completely decapitate the entire Bolshevik movement. It sounds like something straight out of a spy thriller, doesn't it? Well, surprise, it wasn't fiction. This actually happened. In 1918, a very real plot was put into motion. And here's the real kicker. The way it backfired had consequences that were, frankly, way more terrifying than anything its creators could have imagined. It ended up helping unleash an era of absolute terror. Okay, so to really get how this all went down, we need to rewind the clock. Let's go back to 1918. The world is deep in the trenches of World War I. And over on the Eastern Front, well, Russia is in total, absolute chaos. And it really all kicks off right here. See, in March 1918, Lenin's brand new Bolshevik government signs a peace treaty with Germany. They just pull Russia right out of World War I. Now, for the Allies, Britain, France, the US, this is a complete disaster. Why? Because it means hundreds of thousands of German troops are suddenly free to pack up and head to the Western Front. The Allies are absolutely furious. And by May, British intelligence is scrambling, desperate to find any way to get Russia back in the war. And they're willing to consider some pretty drastic plans. And that's where our two main players come into the picture. We've got two very different guys, but they're united by one single, incredibly audacious mission. So on one hand, you've got Robert Bruce Lockhart. He's the official guy, the senior British diplomat in Moscow. He's got the title, the suit, and he thinks the Bolsheviks are just a bunch of illegitimate usurpers. Then you've got Sidney Reilly. This guy is the complete opposite. He's a notorious undercover agent, a legendary master of espionage. They called him the ace of spies. An unlikely pair for sure, but they had the exact same goal: get rid of the Bolsheviks and get Russia back to fighting Germany. So, as the summer of 1918 starts to heat up, so does their conspiracy. This thing moves fast, going from just whispers and backroom ideas to a fully funded active operation. And the target? The very heart of the brand new Soviet state. And when I say funded, I mean they put some serious money behind this. We're talking 1.2 million rubles, all funneled in to bankroll the operation. So you gotta understand, this wasn't just a couple of spies with a crazy idea. This was a well-funded, full-on effort to kickstart a coup. And the plan itself, wow. It was basically a 4-step knockout punch. Step 1, bribe the elite Latvian riflemen. These were the guys literally guarding the Kremlin, the Bolsheviks' personal bodyguards. Step 2, get those same riflemen to seize the Moscow Central Telegraph Office. That would cut off all communications, plunging the city into chaos. And then, in the middle of all that confusion, Step 4, the final blow, assassinate Lenin and Trotsky while they're at a meeting. A total decapitation of the entire revolution. I mean, what a plan, right? So incredibly audacious. But there was a fatal flaw, a huge one. See, they weren't the only ones playing this game of secrets and spies. Because while Lockhart and Reilly were busy scheming, the Bolsheviks' own secret police, the Cheka, was already one step ahead of them. They were watching the whole time. And you did not want to be on the wrong side of the Cheka. This was the All-Russian Extraordinary Commission, led by the absolutely ruthless Felix Dzerzhinsky. This organization was the forerunner to the KGB. Think brutally effective, completely loyal, with eyes and ears pretty much everywhere. So get this. While the British agents thought they were bribing these Latvian commanders, they were actually talking to Cheka double agents the whole time. Every single detail of their plan was being fed right back to Lubyanka headquarters. And then, on August 31st, 1918, the trap springs. The Cheka launches these coordinated raids all across Moscow. Lockhart, he's arrested right in his own apartment. But Sidney Reilly, the ace of spies, somehow manages to slip through the net and escapes. But for everyone else, the plot had totally and completely collapsed. So the conspiracy was a total failure. But the consequences of that failure, they turned out to be far more horrific than success ever could have been. And this, right here, is where the story takes a very, very dark turn. The timing here is just insane. The day before, literally one day before, the Checker rounds up all the plotters. Lenin himself is shot and badly wounded in a completely separate assassination attempt by a woman named Fanya Kaplan. Now, for the Bolsheviks, there's no way this is a coincidence. To them, this looks like a coordinated, all-out attack. It was a declaration of war. And within days, they officially unleashed what became known as the Red Terror. And the Bolsheviks, they immediately seized on this. They used the British plot as the ultimate propaganda gift. They pointed to it and said, see, here's the proof. An international capitalist conspiracy is trying to destroy our revolution. It was the perfect excuse, the perfect justification for what they were about to do. And what came next was just a tidal wave of state-sponsored violence. The Cheka was basically given a blank check to hunt down and execute anyone they even suspected of being an enemy of the state. We're talking about an estimated 10 to 15,000 people executed, and that's just in the last few months of 1918. All because this failed British plot gave them the perfect cover story for mass murder. So yeah, this was way more than just some forgotten spy story. The fallout from this one failed plot would go on to poison the relationship between Russia and the West for the rest of the century. You have to look at it from both sides. For the new Soviet Russia, this plot confirmed their absolute worst fears, that the West was hostile, that it would always try to interfere, and that it could never ever be trusted. And for the Allies, it just hardened their belief that Bolshevism was this ruthless, dangerous ideology that you just couldn't deal with. So both sides walked away thinking, yep, I was right about them. And that created this deep foundation of mutual mistrust. Basically, any hope of building bridges, of finding some common ground, it was gone. This one single event completely poisoned the well. It widened the gulf between Russia and the West, laying the groundwork for decades of hostility that would eventually become the Cold War. And that just leaves us with this huge, lingering question, right? What if it had worked? What if they had actually succeeded in killing Lenin and Trotsky? Would the 20th century have been better? Or would it have just unleashed some different, maybe even worse kind of chaos? It's just a powerful reminder of how one secret plot, hatched in the shadows of Moscow over a century ago, ended up casting such a long and incredibly dark shadow over our entire modern world.